Welcome to Late Night Gaming. I'm Poem. I'm with McBobber, Woo, and Solo, and we're going to be reviewing some cards that have come out within the last couple weeks. Give our takes, our hot takes, and let's get started. We've got a lot to get
Cold
through.
takes.
Cold takes. Okay. Our first card here is Grand Admiral Thrawn. He's got a ton of text. It says, when the action phase starts, look at the top card of each player's deck, and then you can spend his action. It's one resource. You can reveal the top card of any player's deck, exhaust a unit that costs the same as or less than the revealed card. He comes in on 6 resources. He's got pretty good stats, a 3/9 with an Imperial keyword or whatever we're going to call that um,
Right.
trait. And when the player phase starts, he can look. He can still do that here. And on attack, you may reveal the top card of any player's deck, exhaust a unit that costs the same as or less than the revealed card. So Grand Admiral Thrawn seems like he might be good in like maybe a blue deck or something like that, kind of tanky. He's already got the high health. Get into that late game, drop your Dooku's, things like that. He seems like he rewards skill. There's a certain RNG that can happen with this guy where he is just really kind of like blowing you out. Like I played against him and I had fire spray down and I was revealing, or my opponent was revealing the 6 cost ship that gives you Sentinel or whatever, and just exhausting my fire spray like 2 rounds in a row. It was like a total blowout. So I think he's got play. I think he's an interesting character to try to get in there and try to deck build with and stuff like that. So I think he's playable. What do you guys think? McBobber, what's your thoughts on Thrawn?
Yeah, I think you said most of what needs to be said here. I will say from my own playing with him, I'm a little underwhelmed. It's just his ability is a little inconsistent, and that can be rough sometimes when you only low cost cards get revealed and you want to exhaust something expensive. I do like his big chunky 3/9 body, but it's tough because like he's all about stalling, like just exhausting guys and kind of stalling the game, and that's usually not what Cunning is really good at. Is like sitting around doing nothing. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get some more stuff for him in time, and obviously you could splash other colors to try to get some more, end game units. But as it is, I'm slightly underwhelmed with Thrawn, but I do like him, and I like the possibilities of where he could go.
Nice. Woo and Solo, you guys on board with that? Woo?
Yeah, I like you said. I think blue reads like his ability reads best into like what blue is trying to do because it is a more controlling color, and he has a more controlling action. His body, I think, is the biggest draw to him. Like 3/9 is nuts, and he holds buffs incredibly well. So putting things like entrenched on him or the tie advanced experience tokens. This guy can just stick around forever. So I do think there's going to be some potential. It's just right now, blue villain cards aren't like matching up with the green villain cards. So you basically just want to play green most of the time when you're playing villain. And I think there's better options to pair with green than him.
Okay. Solo, you got anything to add on
I
that?
I got a prediction. I do think, um, like we already saw with a card, I think we're gonna preview later, but I think Thrawn is gonna have a suite of cards that synergize with him. Thrawn is a very beloved character, so I don't think the guys at FFG would leave Thrawn bare. So I do think there's gonna be a lot of support for him. But my bold prediction is I believe Thrawn is going to play into a vigilance mill deck that basically takes away all your options and mills you down till you're basically killing yourself.
That seems
That's
like
my
Magical Christmas.
Yeah, I'll go. I'll counter that.
I don't think so. Let's move on to the next card, Jetta City. It's a it's the Cunning base. It's got an epic action. Give a non-leader unit -4, -0 for the phase. McBobber, thoughts on Jetta City?
It's pretty good, like most of the bases. It tends to be slightly higher value, I think, if you're more aggro heavy, but it's definitely a good action. It gives you a favorable trade. Yeah, that's pretty nice. It's almost like a shoot first, but it's it's a little slower. But usually you get a good trade out of this, so I like it.
Woo, Jetta City.
I'm all on the 25 health basis. I've never played one that isn't 25 health since they've come out. I like starting with an extra card in my hand that costs 0, and that's what they all are. So,
Solo?
yes.
I agree with everything you guys say. I do. A discussion we actually had on the card in the chat was that this card has high floor and a high ceiling. So I think this card's really good. And I guess a question for you guys: out of the 25 health bases revealed, is this the best one?
So I guess it's my turn to talk.
I don't think so.
My take on this in the Discord was that I think this is the one that is most likely to always be played with instead of the other ones. I feel like this one is just, the downside is only 1 health and the upside is so high that you're most likely always playing Jetta City. Like, there would be no reason not to. Whereas the other ones, you might make a decision either way. Most likely you're going with the 20 health base, but maybe not. Any thoughts out there from anybody else on that?
It's not my favorite base, but it's good, yeah. I mean, it like you're saying, it can kind of just be a 29 health base.
It's not your favorite base? Really? That's actually shocking.
I mean, I think the green one is like easily the best, but I also think it kind of doesn't matter since they're never competing for slots against each other. So
yeah, it doesn't really matter too much.
Okay.
Next card, Greo. He's a 1-cost Cunning Underworld Bounty Hunter. When defeated, or it's a 3/1. When defeated, you may discard a card from your deck. If it's not a unit, deal 2 damage to a ground unit. Woo, thoughts on Greo?
I'm playing him in most of my Cunning decks at 3 or 2 copies. It's a power crept Death Stormtrooper for the most part. I know it doesn't have the traits, but if your deck has 18 events or so, you're like a 38% chance to deal an extra 2 damage. I'll take that. That's like 3/1 is already like fringe playable for 1 cost, and this is just upside on top of that. And when you kill 5, like when this kills a Bosk or something because it deals 5 to him, like you're just in fairy tale Christmas land, as you're calling it, and it's not that rare for that to happen. It's close to 40% of the time. So.
Solo, thoughts on Greo?
It seems like the bounty hunter synergy is going to be good. Like, we have some good bounty hunter cards. The Bosk is great with his ability for events. So, like, it seems like a lot of the bounty hunters are going to come with similar abilities of different types. So, yeah, I think it's just going to be, bounty hunters are a focal point in Star Wars lore, so I expect it to continue to be good.
Yeah,
we don't have any bounty hunter synergy, so I don't think
maybe eventually there will be.
All.
There could be eventually.
Yeah, it could be, but just
there probably will be, right?
Speculation.
I think there will be.
Yeah,
almost certainly.
I find that Greo, I don't like that he doesn't have Imperial, but he's kind of tricky for me on that, because just where we are right now with the card choice we have available, not having Imperial is kind of tricky. But I think he just wins games sometimes, like you said, Boo. Like sometimes he just, when he procs, like it's just such a swing that for 1 cost, like he's pretty good. McBobber, thoughts on Greo?
I love Greo. I mean, I'm already a big fan of the 1-cost 3/1s, like Death Star Stormtrooper. I think that's a great card, and Greedo's basically even better. Not considering traits, of course, but yeah, that potential 2 damage is pretty scary. Even though you're not likely to hit it, it's still something to think about. You know, it's always there, and even still, just a 3/1's good.
Sweet. Our next card here is the ISB Agent. It's a 1 cost, 1/3 when played. You may reveal an event from your hand if you do deal 1 damage to a unit. Solo?
Nah, I fell into the trap a couple days ago playing too many of these 1-drops. Um, I was listening to the guy in a different game, Marvel Snap. His name is Ken Best for those who play it, and he was talking with a Magic player, and they were talking about how you got to be careful with 1-cost cards because 2-cost cards kind of immediately a lot of time provide more value and make the 1-cost obsolete. So that's what I see with this. I don't think you just got to be really careful playing all these 1-costs, and you don't have a hand, and you just lose. So that's my take.
Yeah, he's interesting. I think he's kind of matchup dependent. He's really good into red villain and stuff like that. But, I think he's an include right now. For 1, you're getting a 3 health guy, and he does do something. Like if you most likely have at least 1 event in your hand, so he's like a 2/3 for 1 coming in. So I think he's playable. He's got the Imperial trait. McBobber?
I think he's great. 1 damage ping is very strong. Oftentimes they can kill something, or depending on your deck, if you're playing Krennic, it might buff one of your guys. If you're playing red, you probably have Tarkin Town that might set up a kill. It's just versatile. It does a lot of stuff, and I like him.
Woo, do you like the ISB?
Yeah, I love this guy. You guys are crazy if you don't love this guy. He's adorable.
Don't you just love his sideburns?
Like, there's just so little downside with him. Just obviously, if you're playing like 4 events in your deck, it's probably not what you want to be. But you're playing like double-digit events. 1 damage just sets up really nice trades. Like it's like McBauer said, versatile, like all over. Like kills shields, just sets you up, and also like the Imperial trait's not negligible for villain stuff. That like Tarkin and Death Star Stormtrooper.
Vader does like him because he's black and yellow.
Yeah, so if Vader would play him, that'd be a double ping with Vader on turn 1.
Cool. All right, go build it, Solo. We got Loal Insurgent, a 3/2 rebel. When played, if you played another card this phase, each opponent draws a card, then discards a random card from their hand. I think this one's me. I don't know. He's just a guy. I think his ability's kind of not relevant. 3/2, I guess, is a decent stat line, although everyone was dogging on the probe droid for a month, or 2. Just didn't think he was that big of a deal at 3/2 for 2. So, but I don't know. Being Rebel, maybe there will be something there if you want to try to, if Rebel can get a board wipe and we can start playing Rebel stuff again, then maybe he'll be good. McBauer?
Yeah, I'd never stop playing Rebel stuff. I like the Rebel trait. I think it's relevant for certain decks. This is a really good Leia card if you're Leia yellow. Yeah, these stats are good because there's not a lot of strong 2-drops, I think, right now for Rebels. So especially like high attack ones. So it's good. And the ability, yeah, it's not a huge deal, but it can maybe cause a little disruption.
Woo.
It's like a pretty all-arounder.
Playable card. All right. Woo.
Yeah, it's just playable. The Rebel's the most important card. Even if this text box was blank, I'd probably be playing it in Sabine right now. So it's like you're just 3/2 Rebel, gets Fleet Lieutenant, gets what's the X-Wing that puts experience?
Yeah, Wing Leader.
Yeah, just like
right.
Aggressive stats.
It's a good
right?
body.
3/2.
It's a good body.
It's a
for
good
those.
body
yeah.
for 2.
Yeah, but it's getting those Wing Leaders and those Fleet Lieutenants. So you play this and then you play those on turn 2. There's nice synergy there in an aggro frame. Solo.
You guys got
We
it.
crushed that one. Okay. All right. The Syndicate lackeys 5 cost 5/4 Underworld Ambush. And McBobber, thoughts on the lackeys?
It's mostly just a draft card. It's kind of a worse Bosk. Otherwise, I guess you can play it if you're a hero, but I don't think this deck's going to see a whole lot of constructed play, or this card rather.
Yeah, this card's not seeing constructed play. We're ready to move on. All in favor? Say aye.
I got nothing else.
It's pretty mid, yeah.
Outer Rim Headhunter, 2 costs, 1/3 Fringe Vehicle Fighter. It's got raid 1 on attack. If you can control a leader unit, you may exhaust a non-leader unit. Woo. Thoughts on the Headhunter? All in favor, say aye. Ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
All right.
Although I want to make one comment on the draft thing. I think we should probably at some point when the whole set's out actually do a draft card review too, because then it becomes like I actually think the Syndicate lackeys are really good in draft.
Mm-hmm.
It does give a different context, but yes, I'm not high on this Outer Rim Headhunter. It's like if they had just given it a relevant type, it would have been great, but they didn't, probably on purpose. So it's just
Yeah.
like I'd rather just play like the plain X-wing.
This is probably going to be one of the last cards you take in draft. It's going to go around the table a couple times. That pack is going to get to you, and you'll be like, all right, I guess I'll throw the Headhunter in there.
I mean, if you know you're going yellow,
Yeah.
maybe you just take yellow cards. We'll have to see how draft plays out when we actually do one.
I mean, maybe this card is a target for upgrades. I'm trying to find something that makes it anything.
I mean,
Because this is horrible.
Wu plays Sabine, who comes out super early, so in theory would be able to capitalize on this card. Be able to exhaust units and stuff like that. Doesn't even consider this card in that deck.
It doesn't have the Rebel trait, which is the most important part of the ships in that deck. It's just...
But do you guys see what I'm saying with the upgrades?
I don't know why that would be relevant here.
Upgrades in Sabine too, and I still don't run this card. Just like
just throw them on your X-Wing instead.
Okay. I think it's trash. I'll just try and see if there's something.
It's just a draft card. 7th Fleet Defender, though. It's a 3-cost Imperial Vehicle Fighter, 3/2 shielded. No idea whose turn it is.
I think it's Solo.
Yeah, it is my turn. Card's great. I think it comes in with a shield. That's very important. We all know how important shields are. Shields are pretty broken in the game because one shield stops all damage. So yeah, I just think it's a great card.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see it's got Imperial. Okay, it's got a shield on there. It's just so good. I don't think you're gonna see another Cunning deck for the next 2 years that doesn't have this card in it.
I think Hero Cunning decks won't.
Well, I mean, a villain Cunning deck, obviously. It's just you're not going to see another one just until this is like rotated out or whatever. Come on. McBauer, thoughts on the Defender? It seems
stable so far.
I don't know if I quite agree with it being such a staple forever, but it's good. Yeah.
So far, it's a staple, but
seems like
2 years.
It seems like a staple to me.
That's a bit of a stretch.
I don't know.
2 years, Paul? 2 years?
I think you just this goes in every villain deck, every villain Cunning. Like, what are you doing? You're not going to put the 7th Fleet Defender in there?
3 cents
you'll care about trades.
I'm with McBobber on this. I mean, I think it's very good, but I don't think this is like some evergreen. Like
2 years.
Dude, this is one of the most foundational cards in villain Cunning that we'll see for a very long time.
And it's worth saying, too, that we don't have any space saboteurs yet or anything that counters this. So that probably makes it feel better. You don't have Sabine and space.
Yeah, so...
You're telling me we're going to see 1,500 cards, and this is still going to be played?
Yeah, you're putting... It's
what he
said. It's one of the first cards that you put in your deck on the DB. You're going to sit there, you're going to click 7th Fleet Defender, and then you're going to put the other 48...
So you could be a bounty hunter focused deck. Doesn't matter. You're still putting this in there. That's what he's saying.
Let's also talk about there is a very interesting mechanic you can do with this when it has ambush. So with a card like primarily it's the base that gives it ambush, the green one. So if
Oh,
you
yeah, that's
use
good.
it to attack into something that only has 1 health, and most commonly that's the A-wing, the red one, you can stack the damage before putting the shield on him. So he can actually ambush because they're both enter the play effects, basically, shielded and ambush. So you have the ambush finish resolving first. It kills the A-wing. This takes 1 damage, and then the shield comes on it.
I mean, you win that game. I'm sorry. Like, they play A-Wing. You ambush. You kill the A-Wing. You take 1 damage on this. Then you have a shielded defender. Like, the game
Well, that's what
is over.
I just wanted to talk about that mechanic
Yeah,
because it's
no,
not
it's
the very clearest, like...
It's unclear, but it's crazy. Yes, it's a very interesting interaction. Okay,
It's very good.
we can send a little reminder on your calendar to two
2
years from this
now.
date.
1,500 cards. No biggie.
This
Okay.
little common 3/2 shield is going to be outlasting everything.
Okay.
And we'll be taking Poem to lunch.
All right. So we've got the Chimera. We don't really need to talk about this, right? Like it's not really playable. It costs 8 and it comes in and doesn't do anything. It's an 8
we should
cost
talk
8
about
7 Imperial
about that.
vehicle capital ship shielded. On attack, name a card. An opponent reveals their hand and discards a card with that name from it. McBobber.
I mean, yeah, like most of the cards I'm going to review here, it's not that great, but I mean, it doesn't do anything when you play it, so that feels pretty bad for an 8-cost card.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
I mean, it's got really cool art, and you'd think it would just like work, and man, this thing is a coaster.
I actually don't even think its attack trigger is that powerful. Like, if you have initiative and you're, like, attacking with your 8-drop, you've probably won no matter what this card is. Like, even if it was that common Stormtrooper guy that gets power equal to the amount of resources you have. Like, at that point, it doesn't even really matter that this has a shield or, like, you've won that game. So, it's just I don't get why it doesn't do its effect when it enters play too.
It's an on-attack ability.
I'm still not sure
even
it would be
even if
good.
it was on play, it's still not that great. But it's on attack. This
You
thing
can't
is
be playing 8-cost
Dude,
cards
I'm
that do
sorry.
nothing. Compared to Palpatine, who basically plays an overwhelming barrage the turn he comes into play.
Yeah,
Or Home One, which brings a guy back, plus restore, like the restore passive, which can gain you life that same turn. Those are other 8-cost drops, and like even those aren't game stealing plays. They're just very strong. But this, you just play it and then what?
I forget.
I played this card exactly once, I think, in one game, and I got waylaid, and then I lost.
I mean, come on, guys.
People don't love waylaying Home One and Emperor Palpatine.
If they wanted these like capital ship strategies and these big ramp deals to like work, like they just needed to not make aggro just so crazy. Like there's so many good aggro cards.
I think you just gotta trust the process. I think they know they got something to make these things more playable. They just have to.
I'm not sure that's true.
They already showed us that event that just kills yourself and then you lose. Like Galactic Ambition or whatever.
Sometimes cards are just made because they're cool, and like not every rare is gonna be some like meta-defining card. Like this thing's cool. It synergizes. Like it looks like it synergizes with Thrawn because you get to see the top card. You always have a target for it. It's like it's cool.
It's thematic.
This is like a kitchen table good time card. Okay. Next card we got No Good to Me Dead here. It's a 2-cost villain Cunning event. Exhaust unit. That unit can't ready this round. Solo maybe?
McBobber started with Chimera. I'm gonna take this one.
All right.
So this is the one you should have said we'll probably see play for the next 2 years in every villain Cunning deck. This card's nutty.
It just blows up.
I don't even know what else to really say. It's
a time walk.
It's just so good, and the fact that it hits leaders is just unfair in many ways. This is like one of the best cards in the game right now, I think.
Solo?
It's a time walk. This card should be called Time Walk.
I remember when they were first coming out with cards, like straight away at the beginning, it was like we saw Vanquish, one of the first cards. I'm like, okay, like no more. We can't really go all in on Voltron, you know. And then we're like, oh well, we can Voltron our leaders. All right, okay, all right, now we'll do that. And now this card just shuts down that strat too. This is crazy, man. This No Good to Me Dead is insane. You draw this in your opening hand when you're playing against Darth Vader, and I don't care what you're doing for the rest of the turn, the rest of the game until Darth Vader comes out. You carry this in your hand no matter what, like, and you just blow him out. Like you just win the game when he comes out.
But there is a card that we're going to preview that can slow that card down.
All right. The governor. All right. Yeah, you might have to play the governor and say No Good to Me Dead if you're playing Vader or something. I don't know. This card's insane. McBobber?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys said all that needs to be said here. It's a great card.
Spark of Rebellion. 2 cost. Heroic. Cunning. Look at an opponent's hand and discard a card from it. Solo?
This seems like something that Mill wants to play. Like you want to mill and you want to control what your opponent does. Yeah, it costs 2, so I mean, I'm gonna just say it's a good card.
Why
I don't know
do you
if it's
keep
good.
talking about Mill? I have to ask, what did Mill ever do to you? It's not even in the game yet.
It's in the game already.
We've seen one game go to mill in like 3 months.
Oh no, I promise you, this is something I can almost guarantee.
But, okay.
There will be mill.
Do I understand the rules? Okay, so in the first game you have 50 card deck, and then you get milled. All right, let's say in a perfect world. Then can't you just take all your 10 card side deck and add it to your deck and have a 60 card deck?
Yes.
So then, so now the mill player has to do 60 cards. Like, I just don't understand Solo. Like, we don't need to talk about mill anymore. Like, they designed this game to prevent that strategy from being competitively viable. Like, a game might go to mill, but you're not going to have a mill deck, I don't think. Right?
We'll talk about it if it happens, right? So.
Cunning.
But yeah.
Oh,
I think this card is good late.
Let's finish Spark.
Oh, we want to finish Spark?
Yeah, the card's good later.
Yeah, if you have a silver
Like
bullet that
mid-game.
beats you, you know, and you're a heroic Cunning deck, then maybe. That's a lot of ifs. McBobber?
Yeah, I think it's better late game. You know, when you got more resources to burn and you're a little bit more, maybe more in top deck mode, you can wipe out what the opponent's options are. Early game, it's tough to lose the tempo, but it can be nice to pull out some key cards sometimes, you know, take out their overwhelming barrage or something.
Yeah.
All right.
It's tough. I wonder if, you know, it has the Spectre trait, which I think is worth mentioning for Hera. But I wonder if we're going to get something that cares, like when you play a Spectre card, something happens. And then this might be more relevant for that. Like the Hera unit or something.
So Hera can include this in her deck, even if she's playing mono green.
Oh, like Hera could be like, Hera unit says, play Spectre cards for 1 less.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? It just depends on how much they want to push this Spectre trait combo stuff.
Timing is very important with this card. It's just like there's just situations in the game that, like the Han turn, right? They resource, they bring Han, you play this, you take, like they have 1/7 drop in their hand. You've kind of bricked their turn in some cases. It's just, I think it's an important effect to have in the game. Like, it's like probably properly costed because it's probably a little too pushed at 1. So it's, but it does feel a little slow sometimes when I've played it. It's like,
I mean, I could see the value in playing this early just to wreck try to wreck what your opponent's starting to do. Like if you go first and you're playing against what's that girl's name? Sabine.
Oh, you should just
And you
if this is your turn one play against Sabine.
Yeah, pretty much.
really to
Yep.
take their Sabine out their hand?
Sabine,
And then they'll just play a different
Sabine,
2
playing
drop.
against Sabine is an absolute chess match. Like you literally cannot misstep at all, or else she will just blow you out. Like she's insane. I
agree.
envision with this card, like maybe if you had a deck that like drew a bunch of cards, and then you had this card, and maybe there's other cards, like maybe if they come out with any other discard, that you can kind of like get at their hand and like kind of you have plenty of cards to use and they don't, and then you just kind of like can win that way. I would be interested to try a strategy like that in the near future, sort of like in Lorcana or whatever, sort of like discard is pretty strong. This does cost you resources, but if you have like if you just take away cards from your opponent, then you might have a chance to win. There might be a strategy with that in the future.
And the card right under it, actually, like you play Spark, you take a card, you play Regional Governor, you brick another card that's in their hand, and you just kind of like
Yeah,
mess with their whole.
we're on set one, and we're already talking about some deck idea that includes some that kind of strategy. So maybe there'll be something like that, like in the future. All right, we've got Cunning. It's a 4-cost dual aspect card. Choose 2 in any order. Return a non-leader unit with 4 or less power to the owner's hand. Give unit +4 or +0 for this phase. Exhaust up to 2 units, or an opponent discards a random card from their hand. Don't know whose turn it is. Maybe me. I don't really have too many thoughts on this guy. I'll like to hear what McBobber has to say about this one.
Just pass the ball.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, pretty much all of these legendary aspect double aspect cards are pretty good. And this one's right there along with them. It seems maybe a little bit
legendary.
Yes, all the double aspect cards are.
Oh my god.
It seems maybe a little bit more aggro focused. Maybe just looking at the options, I like the +4 attack, but it's tough. I've used this only a couple times because we don't have a ton of like cutting cards to play mono cutting, but sometimes it feels good, sometimes I don't know. I know a lot of people rate this super highly. I'm still kind of on the fence, but it might just be because of our card pool. But the way I see it, I think this is possibly the worst of the double aspect cards. But it might get better over time. +4 attack can be pretty good if you're aggro. Same with like bouncing a unit or something. Like it helps you push tempo. Yeah. So if you're going for tempo, I think that's what this is for.
Yeah, I think so. One thing that did come up was that Jeremy Zwern, one of the designers at FFG, who is the design team rates him as like their best player, his best deck. So that's very anecdotal. Is I believe he said it was a mono Cunning Boba, and so I can see where this card really helps Boba Fett. Like if he's able to get some more tools to really round things out, maybe he can kind of like get off the barrage and like not lean on that and like not need green for that, and just really try to push the damage. And this giving him the +4, kind of leans into that strat. Any thoughts on what I stated there? Just maybe the mono strat being viable in the future here when we get the whole set. Woo?
Yeah, I mean, I will play this in mono yellow. Like at 4 cost, this does what you need it to do. I don't think this is good at 6 cost because the effects aren't really permanent. They're like McBauer said, this is pure tempo based. You need to be ahead when playing this card, or you're kind of not accomplishing much. So at 6 cost, you've kind of given up the bet, like what you've given up the plus side of this, which is like play it for 4, maintain your tempo, and keep adding to the board with another 2 drop or something. or being able to play it very early and just kind of like pushing 10 damage in, right? It's but I kind of agree with Robert again. I guess he kind of making good point. Like this does feel a little weaker to me than most of the other ones. Yeah. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
I do. Yeah, this is definitely, I think, definitely the weakest of all the double aspect cards. But at the same time, I don't know. Definitely, I think in most cases when you're ahead in this game, you're you're always going to be good. But I do think this card can help you claw yourself back into the game, right? Because sometimes, you need to buy yourself time or force your opponent, slow down your opponent for a turn to kind of like get to your end game. So I could see this card helping with that and stopping. Like if you fell behind, kind of like bringing you back a little bit. I can see this card doing that.
yeah, I mean, exhaust can be good in the right situations for sure.
I think this probably has like the highest ceiling of any of these things. Like I think this card can just like win you games if you've established tempo when you're like Boba Fett deck, you got Boba in play, you got a Bosk in play, you got like a guy in play. They're trying to like come back with an Obi-Wan, and like you just like bounce their Obi-Wan, tap their loop, hit them for 11, like play another card. Like they're not like this has a ceiling that most of the other ones I don't think have.
Yeah, I think this is going to be you're going to see a lot of this card. I think you're going to see a lot of mono eventually. This first set, maybe not so much, but I think in the future you will because of the power of cards like this. We've got Patrolling V-Wing, 2 cost, 1/1. When play, draw a card. No, it's got a vehicle fighter. McBobber? Draft filler? Ready to move on?
Yeah, for the most part. Maybe if you're playing a super late game deck, you really just want something you can drop on the early rounds. Just basically filter through your deck and get to what you really want. But for the most part, I don't think many decks are going to run this.
Yeah, it's trying to find a certain kind of card or something like that. Like if you had that, if you need to find your barrages faster or something. This is draft filler. We're ready to move on.
I think it's until we see a way to turn this 1/1 token into like something that matters. Like then yeah, I don't see much to do with it.
Okay. Regional
We
guy.
will get fighter synergy someday.
Wait, I have something to say. I'm not gonna say. I mean, this could be good depending on your perspective. I actually think this is a deck thinner. So I think
But
this
Mill's
is like,
gonna get yeah.
Yeah,
What is
Mill
it?
definitely gets you if you try to play this. No, but I think this is a deck thinner. I think this card, 3 of this card in your deck, turns your deck from 50 cards to 47 cards. That's what I think. I don't think it does anything else outside of that.
We've seen half.
It's a body, yes.
The problem is we've seen half of one set, and like there's so much crazy aggro and stuff out there. Like already, like you play this early, like the game's over. I don't know.
Maybe I'm just saying.
Card.
I do think Command is going to have more stalling stuff as well, or maybe there's going to be Command and Cunning need to work together. But at the end of the day, I think this turns your deck into 47 cards.
Well, I mean, trying to find viable cards to play in like a draft deck is probably decent, because you've got. So I can see filtering through your deck and draft. Playable.
I like that. I like how you did that. That was saucy. I'll give you that, Paul.
You're talking to the card draw guy, and I don't like this guy. I don't like the 1/1 stat. It just give me a 2/1 or 1/2 or something. I'll look at it. It's even hard to look at with the 1/1 on there. Like I'm squinting just looking at it. Regional Governor, 1/4 Imperial official. When played, name a card. While this unit is in play, opponents can't play the name card. Woo.
This card's really cool. I think this is gonna be interesting. I think there's just a lot. Like this is another timing card. Like you play this in the right moment, and you can really mess with someone. But just don't like think you can just like run this out as a 1/4 and be happy. Like the stats are bad. It's not like you don't love this card as a body. It does have Imperial, so you can buff it, which is nice. But this is really to just kind of like hit an opponent in a way in a certain point in the game to kind of like throw off their game.
You want to tell them about our game earlier?
Oh yeah, I was playing a Thrawn deck. I have this, but I wasn't playing it until later. It was I was blue Thrawn, he was green Boba, and we played like a really delayed game because I was stalling a ton, and he had a fire spray that I kept exhausting, and at a certain point I was able to kill it and drop this to block him from playing any more fire sprays. And like one thing green Boba doesn't do well is like remove units. So because it's not like a ton of removal. Played this, buffed it with an entrench, it just sat there all game. He was never able to play another fire spray that game. Like, but if I played this early in the game, it would have just gotten like calloused, and he would have just drawn a card and won. So, like, it's not a card I want to play on turn 2. Like, if it's the only 2-drop in your hand, I guess you're doing it, but it's not that kind of card. It could be a sideboard card in certain matchups. I think you probably end up siding it out against a lot of decks that just aren't tunneled on any particular one thing. Like aggro decks, you probably don't want to play this against them, but it's good at like a cool effect.
Yeah, I like this gal. I think she's gonna see some play. Anybody want to add anything on the governor?
I'm very high on the governor. She's Imperial. Oh no, she's not.
Oh no, she is. She's got the outfit
she
on
is.
and everything.
Yeah, so she's Imperial. I mean, the control, like if your deck has an inherent weakness, like what we talked about earlier, no good to me dead. You love this, like Vader should be playing. Blue Vader should be playing this turn 6. Not turn 6. Sorry, when you got 6 resources, 2 of those resources should be dedicated to her and saying no good to be dead, so your Vader can land smoothly and do his thing. Yeah, I'm high on the card, so I think it rewards high skill. You can absolutely butcher this card. Absolutely butcher it.
Yeah, it seems like a Thrawn
But
card or something like that. I don't know. McBauer, do you like the governor?
Yeah, I mean, I think Wu pretty much said all that needs to be said about this card.
Okay.
That's good.
Fifth Brother, 3 cost, 2/4 Force Imperial Inquisitor. It gets raid 1 for each damage on him, which that's different than having the raid trait, right? So this guy's even better than. Is that how all raid works?
Raid usually doesn't care about damage. It's just a thing that you have, like the Leia later. She just has raid
okay.
1.
Okay. So this one, so he can take like 3 damage and get an extra 3 attack kind of thing. So he's got that ability. On attack, you may deal 1 damage to this unit and 1 damage to another ground unit. Lost track of where we were again.
It's me.
All right. Thoughts on the Fifth Brother?
I absolutely love this card. Like, it's so good to know that on turn 3, I can play Force Choke for 1 if this is still out there. Like, having another Force unit at this cost is awesome. Like, Heroes had all the cheap Force units, and Hero Blue had all the cheap Force units. Villains finally get their cheap Force unit. Obviously, he has great synergy with Vader. great synergy with Krennic. He's just such a versatile card, especially if you give him a fallen lightsaber. Good God, he just becomes a menace. So he's I think he's a tier 1 card, and we'll see lots of play.
He's just got the traits. He's got Force, Imperial, just lots of text. Definitely a good dude. I mean, in the stream we did tonight, everyone was trying to get this guy to work. So you're gonna see a lot of fifth
He just
brother.
works.
He really helps with, like you said, Force choke, fallen lightsaber, things like that. So I think you're gonna see this dude, McBobber.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great all-around unit. He does a lot. He's versatile. The 1 damage ping can be cool. He could potentially kill 2 things when he attacks. Or he could even just be kind of like the Sabine unit, right? Like she can ping 1 health guys or shields. So he can do that even before he deals his damage. It's pretty good. And then he's clearly made to combo with the Grand Inquisitor leader. So he's used very well there. You can get an immediate 5 damage burst, which is pretty nice. Yeah. Good guy.
Woo, you like the fifth brother?
Yeah, I have nothing really to add.
Okay. What about Black One? It's a 6 cost 4/4 resistance vehicle fighter. When played, when defeated, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw 3. So when played and when defeated?
Mm-hmm.
It draws you twice.
You have to
Potentially,
discard your hand.
yeah.
I mean, you have to discard your hand, but that's okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a big red hero guy at this stage, but again, it doesn't have Rebel. I do like card draw, so I can see, when you draw this in the late game, I think you're playing it and you're happy, to re-up your hand if you're top decking. So I think you'll see some Black One. I don't know. I think the game's too fast right now for this card. Just like, the bullets are flying, trying to dodge them. So it's like hard to even wrap your mind around a card like this when Sabine's just trying to kill you in like 2 minutes. McBobber?
I like this card in very specific situations. I like it for Han because he can dump his hand and then needs to refill it. It can be good for aggro too. It's similar to like Lando, right? Like it's kind of doing the same role as that Lando's filling if you're in an aggro deck where you get to your 6 resources, you play a card, it gives you more cards back. So you can keep pushing on the pressure if you haven't won the game yet. And that's basically where I see this card.
You
Took
just
the words out of my mouth.
all right. Good in Han.
This is primarily a red Han deck card. Like I think you just like turn 1 play a 3, turn 2 play a 4, turn 3 play a 5, play this in Han on the next turn, draw 3 cards. Like you just it does like you've just recouped the 3 cards you've spent to Han to ramp out every turn. So
okay.
So you think the whole play with red yellow Han where you go to the 6 resource, you play this?
I think it's an option. You might not always have Han or Mace, and this is just another good, strong card in your suite of options.
Let's say you get to 6, you deploy the Han, and then
they know good to be dead, right?
They disrupt that somehow, and you have the Mace and this. Like, this is a nice little consolation prize for you.
You actually I think with what I was describing, which is a turn 1, using Han's ability every turn until the Han turn, I don't actually think you'll have 2 cards in your hand. This will be the only card in your hand, if I mathed it correctly. So that line in particular is to like turbo this out. And I could even see a Han deck that wouldn't even play the 7 drops or trim on them. Just really go hard aggro Han, dump the hand with his ability, and then just refuel and dump some more. And then this dies, you draw 3 more.
Okay. So we're gonna see some. This is a deck builder's dream card. Seems like. Get in there, Get in there on the DB. Try to figure something out.
We don't actually have any 4-drops, unfortunately, to like really like. Actually, I don't think we have very many 4-drops in general in this game. There's like Kanan is a really good one, Bright Hope, but Bright Hope's not always great on that turn. But
You got like the Wampa and the yellow Han deck.
I feel like 4 is this awkward. Like when we get a good 4-drop, I'd be much more happy with like a strategy like that because.
Just dump, black one.
Yeah,
Maybe you run
play
the...
play a 3 on the first turn, 4 on the second turn,
Yeah.
5 on the third turn, and then play this and Han on like the turn after.
Do you run like a mission briefing just in case it doesn't work out? Like you don't draw this? Like do you or
I'd
like
hope,
scout
I'd
or
hope
scout
to,
the scout?
If I'm playing like aggro, I'm really sad if I have to play a mission briefing.
Maybe the scout ship or something.
Yeah, I think that I'd rather play actually play to the board in a strategy like that.
Okay.
Black one was Poe's ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think that art works pretty.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a Poe, some sort of resistance synergy or something in the future fighter synergy or something.
Yeah, someday we'll definitely have a resistance deck, and maybe this will even be better there.
All right, guys, dude, we did it. Almost an hour. But yep, lots of cards here that we've been playing with and messing around with. Some ones we'll see for a long time, I think. I want to thank McBarawu and Solo for hanging out here, and if you made it this far, you're my hero.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
See ya.
Lord Vader.